A few years ago, I made a pen pal from another state through a website. We talked a lot, with very extensive and specific letters, for about a year and some months. She told me about her childhood, her high school experience, and what she was going through at the time. Her family, her house, her city, everything. One day, she told me she was going on a vacation and couldn't send letters, so she sent me her Instagram in case of an emergency if I wanted to talk to her. Honestly, I had tried to find her before on social media, but her name and surname were too common. We were very close, and I didn't like talking to my pen pals on social media, but one day, I wanted to tell her about an accomplishment I made. I went to the user she sent me, but it didn't seem very active. She had no bio, no profile picture, and only one photo. I recognized her face because we sent pictures of each other. I opened the photo and saw it was from 2016, and it had so many comments. Weird, she had almost no followers. I thought maybe this isn't her main account anymore, but then I opened the comments. She was dead. Her comments were family members, friends she talked to me about. They were all giving their condolences and saying how much they missed her. I don't know what to think, so I tried to look up what happened to her. Apparently, someone had murdered her in early 2017, the year we started writing to each other. Thinking it was a bad joke, how could it be? Maybe she made it all up. I keep on writing letters, as if nothing happened. I asked her specifically about 2017 though, if it was a good year or not. She tells me a lot of things that happened that year, and that she went out with a creepy guy for a while. I didn't write to her anymore after that, and haven't received any letters from her. But it still haunts me, and I still don't understand what the hell happened there. My father was a very friendly person. He had tons of friends. It was hard to keep a record of who he spoke to. He also traveled a lot due to his work. He was also very strong and had no severe health issues. However, when I was 10, he died. It was sudden. We informed as many people as we could. One day, an old colleague of my father ran into my mom. She hardly recognized him. They spoke and he said, "I met your husband just a few weeks ago." It was already 2 years since my father's death, and he didn't know my father was dead because he was away for years and had only come to visit his mom. He also said that they had a long conversation and also ended up having coffee together. This happened again, this time with one of my mom's old students in his late 20s. He was a child when he used to come over to my house to get tutored. My mother used to help him in math and English. My father used to give him snacks after he studied and played with him. He too didn't know my father was already dead and told my mom how he met my father about a month ago, and they spoke for a really long time. This happened like 2 other times and then all quiet. It hasn't happened in a long time. This happened many years ago. My friends, family, and I gathered together to go and enjoy a Saturday outing at the park. This park was your typical open field site, and the field is as large as 4 football stadiums. It had no playgrounds, really not many trees, so you would be able to easily play catch or football. I was an active and sporty adolescent at this point, and so I decided to play a game of catch football with my friends. My friend and I decided to toss the ball around for a bit until the game began, and the rest of the gang were still settling in. Perhaps 10 minutes into practice, my friend tossed the ball directly to me with good precision that I moved a foot to my right. But as the ball was coming towards me, I looked up, and right above me, I saw what I can describe to you as a black saucer or stealth fighter. I'm trying to remember, as it was many years ago. Mind you, I only saw the bottom of the object as I was looking north, but oddly, the object remained steady. It did not move or make any noise. At this age, I knew all about UFOs, but I wanted to make certain I wasn't hallucinating any of it. As I looked back down at my friend, I told him to look up. That's when I noticed he hadn't moved. Him and everyone else were fucking frozen. I yelled to grab the attention of my family members, but no answer. The whole field that had dozens of families enjoying their day, well, were all frozen in time. No one moved. Birds remained still in the sky. The air seemed dusty and had no scent. Now, I hadn't left my spot for the fact that I was in shock, but was surprised I was able to move my mouth and arms. Here's the kicker. As I looked up at the sky once again, the object that was there had now disappeared. No noise. Beautiful, clear blue sky, but no object. I looked back down at my friend and remained confused. That's when I heard my friend say, "Hey, throw the ball." Everything went back to normal. This all happened in a matter of seconds. I quickly asked my friend if he saw the same object as I did, stupidly expecting him to say yes. He was confused, but knew how serious I was in the moment. I never spoke about what happened to me until years later when I mentioned it to my spouse. Not sure what happened, but I would not like to encounter it ever again. So, this actually happened last week. It just took me some time to come to terms with it. I got a phone call from a next door neighbor late in the evening asking if I could help him move a mattress upstairs. His mom is ill and has a big heavy sleep number bed. I, of course, ran over to help because they're great neighbors. I got over there and his friend, who is also a priest, was there to help. I helped them figure out how to separate the mattress from the bed so we could fit it up the stairs. We get it all moved up and back in place when my neighbor asks if I can help them move an armoire upstairs too. I think nothing of it, and we pull it out of his travel trailer and start bringing it up the front stairs of the house. This is where I died. The front stairs are 11 steps. I was on the lower end of the armoire, about 6 steps up, when my neighbor and his friend lost a handle on the armoire, and it came crashing down on me, and I fell backwards towards the pavement. I then wake up in my dining room to my phone ringing and my wife asking me if I'm going to answer the phone. It's my neighbor asking me if I can help move a bed upstairs for his mom. I go over there and meet his priest friend again, as this has been the first time I met him. I say I can help you with the bed, but I cannot help with the armoire. My neighbor was like, "How do you know about the armoire?" I then proceeded to tell him, "I'm pretty sure I just died." I spent the next hour talking with the priest. He had so many questions. My neighbor didn't believe it until I described the upstairs bedroom in perfect detail, down to the metal mattress frame on the floor and the intricate headboard leaning against the wall, and I had never been upstairs in their house before. The priest asked me what I saw after I died. I told him I never actually died. Before it happened, I woke up at my dining room table. This just happened, and we're pretty confused. Last night, my mother received a missed call from a California landline number. We Googled the number, and that's the only info that came up. We live in the UK, so I thought it was a spam call. When I Googled the number, it came up as not suspicious or not spam. On listening to the voicemail, it is a very low quality and crackly reception, but it is quite clearly my mother shouting at the dog to come inside from the garden. She says the dog's name and everything. There is an Alexa dot in the kitchen, which would make sense for it being able to record her shouting at the dog, as the door to the garden is in the kitchen. There are no security cameras or Ring doorbells in the house. People have said to call the number, but I'm a bit scared. So this happened about a year ago, in August. At the time, I was working as a painter. We would get loads of lumber, meant for trim on houses. We would take these trim packs to my boss's shop, sand, lacquer, and stain them. My coworkers and I were outside in the sun, working on sanding the roughly 80 pieces of trim we had. Upon finishing sanding these boards, we would take them together, and they were too big for one person to carry, to a rack inside. Suddenly, we start noticing little red splotches on the wood that we thought looked like blood. It got annoying because we would see them on already finished boards and then have to go back and sand them off. We all checked ourselves for cuts or nosebleeds or any sort of blood. Nothing. It kept happening, right in front of our faces. We would be sanding and looking back at where we just finished, and there would be a little red drop that looked like blood. It was getting all over the board and becoming a pain to go back and redo our work. So once again, we stopped and this time checked each other for the source. Again, all three of us were clean and could not tell where it was coming from. We considered the idea that it was sap from the wood, but the type we were working on had a yellowish sap we were already dealing with, not red and liquid like the phantom blood. Finally, I ran my hand over a board to see if it was smooth, and I drove a splinter into my finger. I cursed and lifted up my hand, and 2 little crimson droplets of blood fell on the board. They looked exactly like what we were just dealing with, like I had been bleeding on the boards the whole time, except there was no way. At this point, we all are a little weirded out and take a smoke break. I pull out the splinter and put on a band-aid, and we get back to work. There are no more red splotches after this. Nothing too insane, but none of us could explain where the blood was coming from or why it had stopped.